Good afternoon, dear students. Today I am going to describe about the white fibers of brain and what are they and what types of white fibers are there in cerebral cortex and what is their purpose. So, let us see in the viscera first. So, white fibers are usually the bundles of the nerve fibers. The cell body of those neurons are present in the cortical area, that is the cortical grey matter, and white fibers together form the white matter of the cortex. So, the cell bodies of the cortical neuron forms the grey matter that is present in the superficial aspect, and the actions of the neurons of the cortical neurons forming the white fibers of the brain. Now, they are classified into three groups. These white fibers are classified into three groups. They are association fibers, projection fibers and commissural fibers. So, many of these white fibers are myelinated and derived from the actions of the pyramidal cells, that is the cortical pyramidal cells. Now, let us discuss about the individual fibers. So, association fiber, as the name suggests, it connects the cortical areas of the same hemisphere. Just like this, you can see these are the gyri, okay, and these are the sulci. So, association fiber connects the, so we can see that this is cerebellum, this is frontal pole. So, this is the left cerebral hemisphere. So, association fiber connects the cortical areas of the same hemisphere. That means just like this, association fibers connects this gyra and this gyra in the deeper aspect. Okay. So, again association fibers are of two types. One is long association fiber, another is short association fiber. Short association fiber connects the adjacent gyri, that means just like this or like this, connects the adjacent gyri, and it may be intracortical, that means within the cortex, or subcortical, that means just underneath the cortex. And the long association fiber, those negotiate within the gyri, okay, connects the, so long association fibers, those are those negotiate within the gyri, and it connects the different center of the in the same cortex. It never goes to the other cortex, other half of the cerebral cortex. So, association fibers are confined within one half of cortex. It connects the adjacent gyri, or it connects the gyri at a distance, invading through the intervening gyri. Okay. So, what are the types of association fiber? In long association fiber, there are cingulum. Okay. So, what is cingulum? It is the association fiber of limbic lobe. So, you can see here, this is the medial surface of the cerebral hemisphere. So, this cingulum lies within the cingulate gyrus and it is arched. So, here this one is corpus callosum, okay. This one is corpus callosum. This is not association fiber, this is one commissural fiber rather. So, just above the corpus callosum, this is callosal sulcus, this depression, and this is cingulate gyrus, okay. This one is cingulate gyrus. So, cingulum is present within the cingulate gyrus. So, this is the position for cingulum. This is one type of long association fiber. It lies within the cingulum and it extends from the area below the rostrum of the corpus callosum. That means, so rostrum of the corpus callosum means here rostrum, this is genu, this is body or trunk, and this is splenium. So extends from rostrum of the corpus callosum, below the rostrum of the corpus callosum from here, and it arch backward, and it below the rostrum of the corpus callosum arch backward above this outer surface of the corpus callosum, it goes like this, and finally up to this parahippocampal gyrus, means here this is parahippocampal gyrus. So this is cingulum, this is the position of cingulum in the deeper aspect of the cingulate gyrus. Okay. Now it is a part of the Papage circuit. Just remember, this cingulum is a part of the Papage circuit for emotional integration. Now another association fiber is uncinate fasciculus that hooks around the floor of the stem of the lateral sulcus. So let us see what is lateral sulcus. We can see in the superolateral aspect, this is temporal lobe, this is frontal lobe. So we can see here this, rather in the inferior surface we will better see it, the stem of the lateral sulcus. So this is, here is the stem of the lateral sulcus is there. So uncinate fasciculus hooks around the floor of the stem of the lateral sulcus and connects the Broca's area, that is area 44 and 45, and the orbital surface of the frontal lobe with temporal pole and the area 22 of the superior temporal gyrus. It means uncinate fasciculus present here. It connects the Broca's area, that is area 44, 45, with the orbital surface of the frontal lobe here, with the temporal lobe and area 22 of the superior temporal gyrus. That means just like this, in the orbital surface of the frontal lobe. This is the orbital surface of the frontal lobe and superior temporal gyrus. Here is superior temporal gyrus, area 22. Just like this, means this is just like the uncinate fasciculus lies like this. Okay. So this is the position of uncinate fasciculus. It lies in inferolateral to insula and conveys visual and auditory images of words to Broca's area of dominant hemisphere for proper expression of spoken speech. Now there is another association fiber, that is known as superior longitudinal fasciculus. Superior longitudinal fasciculus extend anteroposteriorly above insular area, and it lies outside the projection fibers of the corona radiata. Actually it lies just like, begin fanwise, it's like in the anterior aspect it is rather projected, fanwise projected, and in the frontal region it is fanwise projected, connects the area 18 and 19, and then 18 and 19 of the occipital cortex, and with temporal lobe connecting the link between the frontal and occipital eye field. That means superior longitudinal fasciculus, it primarily it is fan like projection of fibers, goes like this, it connects the occipital eye field and also the temporal lobe. So this is superior longitudinal fasciculus, the position of superior longitudinal fasciculus. Now there is another inferior longitudinal fasciculus that extends longitudinally along the lateral wall of the posterior horn of the lateral ventricle. So we cannot see here. So this is the position of posterior horn of the lateral ventricle. It goes like this in the lateral wall of the posterior horn of the lateral ventricle, and it is goes outside the fibers of the optic radiation and tapetum of the corpus callosum. Those are related to the posterior horn of the lateral ventricle. So, inferior longitudinal fasciculus goes in the outer aspect of the optic radiation and tapetum of the corpus callosum. That means, this is the extent of superior longitudinal fasciculus and this is the extent of inferior longitudinal fasciculus. It is related with the lateral wall of the posterior horn of the lateral ventricle. Now, there is another long association fiber that is known as fronto-occipital fasciculus that goes from frontal pole to occipitotemporal lobes. That means, from frontal pole, but it is present in the deeper aspect from frontal pole up to the occipito and temporal lobe. Okay. It lies medial to the corona radiata, where inferior longitudinal fasciculus lies lateral to the projection fibers of corona radiata, but fronto-occipital fasciculus lies in the medial aspect of the projection fibers of corona radiata, and it forms the subcallosal bundle, occupies in the interval between the corpus callosum and the lateral border of the caudate nucleus close to the central part of the lateral ventricle. It also conveys some projection fibers from cerebral cortex to caudate nucleus. Now, projection fibers. Projection fibers connects the cerebral cortex with subcortical grey matter of the basal ganglia, thalamus and the nuclei of the brainstem and spinal cord. So, we cannot appreciate the projection fibers here because it is a mid sagittal section, better seen in the coronal section of the cerebral hemisphere, but still projection fibers connects the cortical neuron with the subcortical grey matter of the basal ganglia, thalamus and also in the nuclei of the brainstem and spinal cord. And projection fibers are of two types, that is centripetal and centrifugal. That means centrifugal means going towards the cortex and centripetal means those fibers going away from the cortex. Centripetal means going away from the cortex, centrifugal means going towards the cortex from the lower structures, and centripetal means from cortex it goes away, it is going away. Now, projection fiber of allocortex, that is a primitive cortex, those are fimbria and fornix of hippocampal formation. So, here fornix is present just in the inferior aspect of the corpus callosum. Okay. This is the area for fornix, and in the neocortex the projection fiber is corona radiata. Just imagine from this cortical neuron fibers are going downwards just like this, and then from the entire neocortex the fibers converge to the periphery of the corpus striatum. Corpus striatum means that is the caudate nucleus and the lentiform nucleus. Then fibers converge around the periphery of the caudate nucleus here, and it forms this arrangement of the fiber just like this. It is fan shaped, going downwards is fan shaped. It is known as corona radiata, and this corona radiata intersected by commissural fibers of the corpus callosum and anterior commissure. Now, this corona radiata lies between the fronto-occipital fasciculus in the medial aspect and the superior longitudinal fasciculus laterally. Those are the two long association fibers. Now, fibers of corona radiata divides corpus striatum into caudate nucleus on the medial side and the lentiform nucleus in the lateral side. So, corpus striatum is divided by the fibers of the corona radiata going like this. Corpus striatum divided into caudate nucleus medially and lentiform nucleus laterally. So, these are all about the projection fibers. Now let us discuss about the commissural fibers. Commissural fibers connects the wide area of the cerebral cortex across the middle line. Association fibers connects the area within the same hemisphere. Projection fiber connects the cortical neurons with the subcortical grey matter, and the commissural fibers connects the neurons of the adjacent hemisphere. So, most of the commissural fibers are homotopical, that means it connects the similar area, identical areas, but some are heterotopical, those are connecting the different areas. Now, there are 5 sets of commissural fiber, those are corpus callosum, anterior commissure, hippocampal commissure, habenular commissure and posterior commissure. So, anterior commissure you can see here, let's see this specimen. So, this is anterior commissure. This is anterior commissure, it stretches across a middle line in the substance of the linea terminalis. So, this one is linea terminalis. This one is linea terminalis. So, this is anterior commissure. It connects the both the hemisphere, and it lies in front of the column of the fornix and the anterior wall of the third ventricle. So, here is the position of third ventricle, square like third ventricle. So, this is the anterior wall of third ventricle, lies in front of the anterior wall of the third ventricle, and column of fornix diverges like this. So, it is present in front of column of the fornix and the anterior wall of the third ventricle. So, this is corpus callosum, this is the largest commissural fiber. Okay. So, it has 4 parts from before backwards. This is splenium, this is body or trunk, this one is genu, and this is rostrum, the largest commissural fibers. So, from this splenium some fibers connects both the hemisphere, that is those fibers are known as tapetum, and as a whole corpus callosum connects the different identical parts of the adjacent hemisphere, opposite hemisphere, and another, that is the habenular commissure, posterior commissure and hippocampal commissure. The position of those are here. Here in the posterior aspect, in the posterior wall of the third ventricle, we will get here posterior commissure, cannot see properly in this specimen, but this is the position of posterior commissure, habenular commissure and hippocampal commissure here. So, that is all for nerve fibers, white fibers of the cerebral hemisphere. Thank you.